好盡，你點睇？
第一樣嘢我第一節嘅體力好啦。
Our energy was very good from the start.
另外就去到第二之後我哋開始即係澳洲隊嘅三分能力開始慢慢適應到，咁我哋就打得辛苦少少。
We felt that Australia really adjusted well with our pressure, and as they started hitting shots, we kind of ran out of gas a little bit.
How tough was it for some of the players not getting the chance to play against Guam? Obviously, some of the players haven't even played before TV cameras before.
Yeah.
So what was that like for them and the experience that they got from this match?
佢話我哋冇得同關島打個比賽，亦我哋練習都有影響啦。佢哋唔知我哋練習影響得幾大。但係有好多啲新人第一次出嚟對住電視，呢個經驗對佢哋係幾好，同埋你點睇呢個情況？
越打得國際賽多，對我哋年輕嘅球員都有得着啦。第二樣嘢就因為今次我都好多後生嘅球員，希望俾多啲機會，同埋呢個係一個好難得同一個隊咁好嘅對手。
He said, we hope that with more of these international games, our young players are getting more experience. Especially, this is quite a young team for us. And he told us that he intentionally ran the bench a little bit more than he would have, just so guys can get that feeling to play. It's very rare for us to play against such a high-level and quality team.
And Australia had a debutant there today called Josh Giddey. There's talk he could be first-round draft pick for the NBA next year. Did you run your eye over him, and what did you think of him?
佢哋有一個球員係 Giddey。就14，佢哋話其實係第一次打澳洲隊，佢哋話下年咧，佢哋話有機會入 NBA， 點睇佢？佢係鏟嗰4個位左手嗰個鏟。
有啲輕街，我諗佢真係好年輕 ，too young， 應該講佢嗰個塑造力幾強，尤其是佢外頭真係好穩定。
He said that he can tell that he's quite a young player, but that he's very well-rounded for his size. He said that playing from the outside, you can tell that he's got a very well-rounded game.
What about you've obviously played against some great players wearing the Hong Kong jersey. What did you think of Josh there today?
I was impressed. You know, the thing is with us that you guys are such a quality side 1 through 5 that I was just happy that we really did make it a game in that first half, But obviously for him, the skill set at that size is special,
And what's it like for you guys in Hong Kong with the standard of basketball? I know you played in China, but how is the standard? Is it rising? I read somewhere where it might actually be not as good as it was in the middle 90s. Can you give us an idea?
So it's a bit of it's one of the more interesting leagues in the world because we're technically an amateur league, but we have professional teams within the amateur league. So we used to be a fully professional league in the 90s. So in that scenario, we are slightly taking a few steps back. But in the past 2 years, we've had our first professional league, the Eastern Lion teams, to play. So we have a few players who are playing professionally. But Asian basketball is really improving. China, Japan, Korea, all these teams are taking steps forward. And it's because of Australia, New Zealand, all these teams coming in. We're kind of struggling to keep up. I will say that. We really need to take more of an effort to really keep up with the rising tide of Asian basketball.
And how do you feel situated in Group C? Because this is, I think, was it like a 60-point loss today?
Yeah.
Is it important that you beat Guam and get a chance to play them? And where do you see you sit, obviously, with the Tall Blacks beating Australia, they're actually ranked second in the group?
Well, getting drafted into this group, Australia and New Zealand are two of by far the best teams in Asia. We knew what the situation was coming in. The only thing that I'm proud of what we did is we haven't practiced before we came to Australia because of the coronavirus. All public gyms in Hong Kong are shut down. So for us to come in, fly in, do 2 days of practice and play as we did, it gives us a little hope that we can really battle Guam and make things interesting.
What's it been like for team members? You have to take any special precautions? What are you actually doing to make sure that this virus doesn't spread?
佢話我哋有咩對住呢個病毒有咩特別嘅嘢處理，點解唔傳染咯？
暫時嗰個群體嘅活動會 cancel 咗，直至有另外嘅即係另外。
我會話我哋搭機保持安全，跟住就
我哋會做晒所有防護。
We've taken a lot of safety precautions with traveling, especially coming from Hong Kong. But the main thing is that we don't practice in Hong Kong. Our players have done their own conditioning to stay in shape, but by not practicing as a group and staying home, that's the best that we've done. So we're hoping that hopefully with the situation improving, we can start practicing again and change some of the mistakes that we've made today. Coach just said that this is the shortest preparation for a game we've ever had, just 2 practices and showing up. So we're happy with kind of what we came with.
With Australia being such a highly ranked team, what were your expectations from this game?
澳洲一個咁好實力嗰個球隊，今日你有咩期望同埋有咩睇法？未打之前，
其實澳洲係而家亞洲最強，係 number one。咁我相信我哋嚟到都係希望將個分差收窄個 range。咁其他其實都係學習咯，都係呢樣。
Said he believes that Australia is the best team in Asia. You know, they're really our number one. And because of that, we really wanted to make it a game, hustle, be aggressive, and especially because we have so many younger players on our team, for them to get that experience to play against a level of player that we don't really get to see in Hong Kong.
Did you anticipate the full court pressure, particularly when we threw a younger squad out there? We played a lot of full court pressure and pressured the ball. Is that something you prepared for?
你有冇預計佢哋全場壓迫力？因為佢哋球隊比較年輕，佢哋全場跟逼咧就做得比較多。你有冇
預咗？因為我見到個球隊咧係比較年輕，同埋比較身形唔係太大 strong， 所以咧係見到嘅應該打法應該係有少少變化，應該係有少少溫寧跟同埋 high pressure 嘅球隊嚟嘅。
跟住我只不過諗住加多句，只不過我哋時間
係啦，冇錯。
He said that he could see that with scouting, watching the New Zealand game, this is a young team, high energy, high pressure. We knew that there was going to be a lot of full court pressure. It's just our preparation time. We didn't really get comfortable in some of our press breaks, which he feels like we could have done a better job because there are a couple unforced errors in the second quarter. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Okay, no worries.
One second, cameras ready?
Coach, after Thursday, probably knew you were going to win this game, but were there specific goals you wanted to achieve in this game, and did you achieve them?
The goal is always to play the next possession better than the last one, and we did that pretty consistently today. Our turnovers way down, make a few more free throws and hold on to the ball a little better, and we feel like we would have been in a position to win that game the other night. But you come out of the weekend feeling really proud, as you always do, of being involved in teams like this with players and people the caliber that we have in the playing group and the staff, and really proud of the NBL, the fact that the depth that allows us to select a team like that, as well as New Zealand. Obviously, they bring 14 guys and multiple guys that are involved in the playoff chase and play a part of the Breakers. I think all 4 of their assistant coaches were NBL assistants or had been recently. And Basketball Queensland, the chance to play in Brisbane, to bring basketball back in this environment, bring the Boomers back here. The support we got all week was fantastic. The fact that Sam Froling, Blanchfield, Hodgson, all Queensland natives, and for these guys to get to represent the Bullets during the year and play such a big role, not just on the court, but the way that they kept the Boomer spirit alive in the group and brought some of these debutantes through is heartening. And I'd be remiss if I didn't just point out that Andre Lamanis and Luke Longley, the guys that have been a part of this staff over the past several years, and these kinds of things don't happen by accident, where you can build a group that has the tight-knit sort of characteristics that this group has. That happens because of diligence and hard work over many, many years. Back before Brett Brown and Brian Gorgon and Adrian Hurley and all those kinds of things. So we all sit here really proud to be a part of it.
Brian in the first quarter, 12 all at one stage, and you guys missed a few shots, but what was the difference then? Was it fatigue from the opposition? Was you guys defensively getting better? What was it that you were then able to kick on? I think in the end it was 18-12, and after that it just rained points.
What do you reckon, Jace?
It's probably just a bit more of that international basketball for us. The other night felt like an NBL game. It was up and down. It was free-flowing. Where tonight was a bit more of a grind early on. And I think we just missed shots. We kept them to 9 points for basically all that first quarter, and people loosened up, made a few shots, and the game kind of opened for us. But it just started out as that international grind, which it is. You play teams you don't know and personnel you don't know, and everyone's a bit hesitant at the start. But it was just a matter of making shots, and once we did that, we found a rhythm.
And obviously, everyone's excited about Josh Giddey. Can I ask you, Jason, what's it like having someone like that around the group, and he finally gets a chance to get on court, and then when he does, makes a real impact?
Yeah, it's awesome, and it's crazy. I roomed with him this week, and I kept forgetting he was 17, and I kind of forget through my life too. That was me at one point. I was sitting there with Brad Newley. He was my guy, and he's a good kid. He's learning. He's been around the game his whole life with his family, and we know stuff like that. But to see what he's bringing and what he's doing and the head he has on his shoulders, I think that'll take him further than his talent. He's a smart kid. He knows it, and I think he's got a long time to represent this jersey and do great things. And I think we're just starting to see the beginning of his career.
We've got some outstanding point guards, haven't we? Today, probably our best in the country is playing in the NBA. Ben Simmons was injured, playing for the 76ers against Milwaukee. I know you haven't had any conversations with Brett Brown, but is that a worry for you guys leading into the Olympics? I mean, this is part of getting the Boomers ready for what's going to be a massive tournament at the Olympics.
I think what's special about the group is how much everyone enjoys staying in the moment and soaks up the experience that you have. If you saw our lunchroom, I mean, they're 90-minute, 2-hour lunches. Nobody wants to get up and leave. Nobody's on their phone. And so part of that is we're focused on what we can do to be as good as we can be while we're in it, and the commitment that the group shows in this environment to put their hand up and right off of an NBL season, right after playing games and being in Melbourne the other night and having to fly home and prepare and play right away. We have a depth in our country of competitors and guys that have experience as well as new guys coming through. So that is something that we trust as a program, and that is going to hold us in good stead the same way as getting our ranking up to third and having those fourth-place finishes in the last two major tournaments.
What's the main thing you need to work on moving towards the Olympics? Because I think that's the next major tournament, isn't it, for the Australians?
Yeah, I think you can't ever just isolate one thing. And so the biggest thing is the availability of players. And so that comes as it will. But the way that players take care of themselves in the off-season and the way that they finish out their commitments in second season, all these guys are highly sought after, whether it be NBL 1 teams or in NZNBL or internationally playing in Europe, Puerto Rico. So the availability is a part of it, but just the steady improvement. Like there's these guys that we were at the Asia Cup with 3 or 4 years on. They're different players than they were then, and they deserve 95% of the credit for that. Their coaches deserve credit for that as well. But to get better as a group, you got to get better as individuals, and all these guys have shown commitment to do that.
Jason, you guys played that game through the last possession, which is you got 30-point, 40-point, 50-point, 60-point margin. Not always easy to do. Obviously, you're representing the country. What was the enthusiasm of the younger players? Something that just helped keep everybody up as well?
Yeah, I think so, and it's one of those things. Every point matters in international basketball. The whole ranking system of the pools come down to splits and things like that. And that loss to New Zealand the other night, you can't go undefeated, so it might come down to as points difference to finish first. So I think the young fellas, the energy they had just to play for the jersey for the first time probably helped, and just the fact that you just want to play every possession out, enjoy it. And throughout this week, it's actually one when you look back and say, Will's come in, first week of a coach, we only had a week together. In the past, it was like every other camp was the same consistent people. We just rolled in, it had the same feel. This camp had the exact same feel about it, but it was just all new. We'll have to take over from start, 2 days to get everyone ready, and I think it was a credit to the group to stick with it. Tough loss the other night, but the energy was still there and people came out and played the right way, and I think that showed tonight, and I think it'll show in future windows as well.
Our assistants as well, Adam Caporn and CJ Bruton, they're scouting the depth of it, the preparedness. These guys feel that, and it all reverberates off each other.
– 100%. Every player that gets represented in the qualifiers is doing a job, and if they do that well, it can only lead to more opportunities either playing in or at camps. And for me, I got a bit of an eye-opener when I went into that camp last year, the World Cup, got called in late, and I actually had a really good camp. So it's one of those things that when you're around that personnel, some people just fit in. I think the one thing that helps me is my IQ. Sometimes you've got to fit in with some of those guys, and I think my ability to do that can only help me. And if I get the chance to go to another camp that is, I think I'll do a good job. And if it eventuates. Otherwise, every chance I do get the word, I'll keep doing it until I can no longer play. Enjoy my time with my little family. I'm signed with the Capitals in the NBL 1, so that'll be nice to go back there. Sammy McKinnon coaching, but also maybe go to Europe. We'll see in the next few weeks.
Thanks.
Cheers, guys.
Congratulations.
Thanks very much. Appreciate the support. All the best, guys.